you are not going to Blockbuster or Family Video or any other chain to get a movie. You're going to get a digital streaming version of that movie. We're back with another episode of the Tactical Agents Podcast. I am Mike, and this is Chris. You haven't seen him in a couple weeks. How you been?
Reintroduce myself. I've been good. Been busy.
Yeah, you're doing some cool stuff. I don't know if what you're doing is relevant to the podcast, but it's cool nevertheless.
Yeah.
If anybody out there is really into having someone build them exact replica cockpit parts for your F-16 flight simulator at home, whatever, or maybe you dabble in what's the popular one? Microsoft,
So Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Yeah, that
Digital Combat Simulator.
Yeah. Don't even start talking about it because you'll derail everything.
Yeah.
All right.
I will.
If you're into that stuff, talk to Chris. He'll help you. I think it's cool, but I don't know how to do any of it. But anyway, this episode, we're going to talk about why cloud-based brokerages are the future. We've been with cloud-based brokerages since 2020. We'll just talk a little bit about that experience and the importance of thinking about what's on the horizon when it comes to your business. If you're in the real estate game for the long haul, we'll talk about that in this episode. A quick word, tacticalagents.com. We're having problems. I don't know if the problem will be resolved when you hear this. We've had, and if you're listening to the podcast and you've gone there and you've dropped information and something is broken, we're aware of it. We're working on it, and that's all we can do. If we were charging you to be a part of our community or get access to our training, I would be more worried about it. But since we don't, it's like, it is what it is. So we're working on it. Tacticalagents.com. This will live on in perpetuity. So it'll be fixed eventually. So we'll get it there. All right. Fair enough.
Fair enough.
All right. Danny and Trey are not with us. Maybe one day you'll see one of them or both of them again, but me and Chris today. All right. So cloud-based brokerages. I'm going to tell you what I've been telling people in a lot of my conversations with them. And I want to hear your reaction to it and get some feedback from it. And then maybe we can kind of break down maybe 2 or 3 things that we think are really important to think about when it comes to the cloud-based future. So, if you guys don't know, we've been with Real Broker for 2 years. We've done an episode on why we left EXP and moved to Real, but both of them are cloud-based. And so we find ourselves a lot. I've had 3 conversations just today with agents about making a move to Real as a broker, sharing my experience and thoughts on that. And one of the things that I have found a really helpful analogy for when they kind of talk about, well, what's the advantage of going to a cloud-based brokerage instead of the brick and mortar, right? Fill in the blank, KW, Remax, Berkshire Hathaway, Coldwell Banker, blah, 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 whoever. And I'm not knocking any of those companies to be clear, but we're talking about like more of a traditional brick and mortar type model. And what I've been saying is, do you ever watch movies with your family? Well, of course the answer is going to be, well, yes. And what I've been telling them is, what I know for a fact is that this weekend, if you're going to do that, you are not going to Blockbuster or Family Video or any other chain to get a movie. You are guaranteed, unless you have an old DVD or Blu-ray player that you have the discs and you're going to put that in because it's left over, you're going to get a digital streaming version of that movie with your family. That is what is happening, period. And there seems to be a light bulb that's going off when I use that analogy with people. When I say that, what do you think? What's your reaction?
Well, I mean, that's just accurate. The future is moving away from the brick and mortar businesses. And again, like you said, like, this isn't a recruiting pitch. This isn't, us putting down anybody that's at a traditional brokerage or anything like that. Everything has its place, but real estate's an on-the-go business, and it's all, there are 2 competing schools of thought. So for me personally, and I'm probably getting off track of what your actual question was, but
I just
for me,
wanted to when
yeah,
when I say that, what is your your follow up thoughts is all.
yeah, I think there is something to be said for being in an office where you can talk to people and network and you know get the lay of the land and discuss ideas and all that stuff. And I understand that school of thought, but the biggest thing that I've seen, and I've been in traditional brokerages. I've paid the desk fees to have an office. What I found more than anything is you get trapped around the water cooler and you start just shooting the breeze with people, and you don't do actual work that benefits you. And for me, I've found that being in a cloud-based brokerage is significantly more beneficial because it is significantly easier to limit the amount of time you waste
Mhm.
talking to other people. And I don't mean I don't like talking to other people. I'm a real estate agent. Of course, I like talking to other people, but I like talking to other people too much, and I will get trapped into just talking about the game this weekend and what's going on with the economy and all this stuff that does absolutely nothing to make me money because nobody in your office is going to refer you business. Nobody in your office is going to do anything to positively impact your business. I mean, they may give you some pointers and some aha moments may happen, but let's be honest, how much of your time in the real estate office talking to other agents is actually spent talking about things that make you better? Not a lot.
Yeah, I a lot. I think
Yeah.
I think that's a super practical thing. Now, I do think you can. I mean, look at what we're doing. I mean, this is virtual, but
Hmm.
I mean, we see each other in person probably once every 2 to 3 months,
Right.
and I just spent yesterday in person with two different people from my cloud-based brokerage in person in my
Hmm.
state. And I
Right.
will do so again in 2 weeks. While we're recording here, I missed our state meeting today. Like, I mean, there's so many opportunities. Just because the broker is cloud-based doesn't remove the ability to connect with people that you want to connect with in real time and space. I mean, it's
Hmm.
still an option. Of course, in the early times of a startup, I mean, if you're an early adopter in the state of Illinois, and the next early adopter is in Ohio, God forbid anybody's from there. But, how can I connect? I get it. It's difficult, but it depends on your vision and if it's a fit. I feel like, though, you think about the fact that, and forgive me, if you're a nerd, you might pick on me on this and correct me in the comments if you want. But I've heard, and I assume it to be relatively true, that the amount in the 90s when I was in high school, we had these Texas Instrument TI 81s or something, right? Like these calculators, graphing calculators. And I was told by my teacher at the time that there was more computing technology inside that calculator than all of the room full of computers that sent us to the moon. So,
Yeah.
I mean, cue the conspiracy theorists.
All right.
Fake moon landing
What
aside.
moon?
What moon? Yeah.
The moon's
I've
not
seen the
real.
photos, NASA. So, but my point is that the cloud-based environment allows the focus to be on the technological sort of like cutting edge, right?
Hmm.
Technology develops so fast, and the graphing calculator of the 90s is nothing compared to my Apple Watch, is
Right.
nothing compared to the iPhone. And it's like the amount of computing power that is in the palm of my hand compared to even the internet of the early 90s is just, it's wild. And so being on that technological front end, really, you're not even really a real estate company. You're a technology company that leverages technology for real estate, you know?
Hmm.
So I think that's huge. And that kind of flexibility that it provides you to be able to, you already said it, like real estate is an on the go business, right? The focus isn't the building. The focus isn't even the sign on the outside of the building. The focus is people and your ability to adapt to a changing, shifting culture around us that is increasingly technology dependent. And if you miss being able to leverage that, you're kind of missing it, period. I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, agree, disagree?
No, I agree with everything you just said, and it's really fascinating, the pushback you get for the online brokers because people are so conditioned to believe, but I won't, where will I meet clients?
Mhm.
I I had an office for years. Like I still have a brick and mortar office that I go to once a month. It's the biggest waste of money I have ever done in my life. I spend like 23 or $2,500 a month on an
Yeah.
office
Yeah.
that I go into once every couple of months.
Yep.
Um, because I fell into that trap too. But I don't meet clients at the office. I meet them at their house. I meet them at a
Mhm.
coffee shop. We go to lunch. We go to dinner. We have drinks. We grab coffee. We don't go to the office.
Yeah.
And so, like, I feel so dumb for renting that office. I signed a 3-year lease on it. It's up in December, and I'm counting down. Think about how much money that is: $2,500 a month for 3 years to use once or twice a month.
What could that money have been used toward, right? Like, what else could you have done with
Absolutely.
that to enhance a client experience or to,
Right.
do whatever? Like, yeah, how many meals could you have taken clients to with that, that versus the office that they're
Exactly.
not going to go to? That just came up. I literally walked in the door from a lunch, because I like told you guys I was out at this lunch talking to an agent about our brokerage, and um that was one of the questions. Well, where do you do closings? And it was cool because I was like, well, let's see. One agent here in Michigan just last week on their closing, they actually picked up fresh bacon and eggs and brought them to the client's house. And actually, they just cooked breakfast during the closing while the remote notary was there at
Mhm.
their house. Like,
Yep.
they didn't have to go anywhere. Everybody came to
Mhm.
them and they still had a good time. They cooked breakfast during the closing. So it's like, instead of thinking about what you're losing, you can also think about what you're gaining. You're gaining
Mhm.
a tremendous amount of flexibility in an on the go business.
Right.
And I would say, like, another thing that immediately jumps out, and there's probably more, but another thing is just how much networking and collaboration can happen, right?
Mhm.
In an institution, right? In the institutions of real estate, the mainstays, the Berkshire Hathaways and uh, uh, such environments, you have to be a networker.
Mhm.
But the very structural nature of a cloud-based brokerage is a network.
Mhm.
And so you have a central hub. It's more organic. I guess it's more natural of a structure. And it certainly pairs well with the culture. So I think that there's just uh, a vastly bigger opportunity for networking and collaboration in the cloud-based environment, where you can tap into resources that you would have never been able to tap into if you were only focused on a local brick and mortar business that can elevate you.
Yeah. And there's also like, think about that one guy. And I know you've got somebody in your mind when I say this, that one guy who never does any business, but just runs his mouth all the time, right? Like just talks all the time in your office, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to answer the phone when he calls if you're at a cloud based brokerage. If you run into him in the hallway, you're stuck unless you like, we aren't stuck because we have this, we can be assholes when we need to be, but a lot of people would just be stuck talking to that dude for 15, 20 minutes. And when your time is worth $300-400 an hour, that 15 or 20 minutes is expensive, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah. Those are guys, those are some thoughts. I mean, I don't see us ever regressing. I would view it as regressing. Again, I'm not. If you're at a brick and mortar and you're killing it, you're crushing it, you're loving it, cool. I like, but this episode was just the answer to the idea of I think why cloud-based brokerages are the future. Like, I think our culture is headed this way. I
Yeah.
think technology is headed this way, and I think it is a path for growth forward that eliminates the need, because I think what happens in the brick and mortar world too is we create, especially in an independent contractor environment, this faux corporateness where we have to climb inside that old structure, that old institutional model, where the cloud-based model just pulls the brakes off of that. Like, the only thing now holding you back is you. It just opens up the opportunities a lot more, I think, and it fits me. So maybe it would fit you. I don't know. That's it. That's all I got.
There's like a 3 or 4 second delay from what you say to
Yeah,
me
my internet's trash
anything,
again.
so
On the home front. I don't know what to do about it. So it is what it is. All right, guys, listen, here's the deal. If you're watching this on YouTube, we are going to be moving to doing the podcast live streaming, and then breaking down the chunks into our longer form content. We'll continue to put some shorts up there. I have some ideas for long form content that I'm going to be executing on here as we kind of get out of the summer and into the fall. And if you want to just listen, you can listen on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. So wherever you want, we're here, tacticalagents.com. If it's broken, it'll get fixed soon. And if it's not broken, you can join anything we got. It's all free. That's all I got for us. We're headed into a mastermind, so we got to wrap it up. All right. See you next time.